Today we're studying Lesson 2.3, Place Value in Whole Numbers. By now you should have written your goal for today. In this lesson, you're going to practice identifying the value of digits in numbers up to 1 billion and to provide practice reading and writing numbers up to 1 billion. What sounds a little bit different about this learning target for today compared to the one that we talked about last week that you need to be able to reach for the whole unit? Come up with the largest numbers you can using the digits 0, 3, 9, and 7. You can only use each digit once. Turn and talk and come up with the largest number. Right, the largest number at this point would put the smallest digit in the ones place. So there are 0 ones, there are 3 tens, there are 7 hundreds, and there are 9 thousands. Who can read this number? Right, it's 9,730. There are two different kinds of numbers. There are counting numbers. These are numbers that are 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then there are whole numbers. Whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Is every counting number also a whole number? Yes, every counting number is a whole number. But is every whole number a type of counting number? No, 0 is not included. We are going to use those whole numbers to come up with some numbers, place them in the place value chart, and determine how much each of these numbers are worth. So for example, if we said we wanted to figure out the value of the number 2, 2 would go over in the ones place, so we would say there are 2 ones in this case. If we added a 0 on, we now had the number 20. 0 would be written in the ones place, 2 would go in the tens. So 2 tens gives us 20. We could also do the number 200. We would have 0 in the ones, 0 in the tens, and 2 in the hundreds. So we would say we have 0 ones, 0 tens, and 2 hundreds. We can continue this pattern on all the way through 200,000. So the next would be 2,000. So we'd have 0 in the ones, 0 in the tens, 0 in the hundreds, and 2,000. We need to add a comma. We could do 20,000. We now have 0 in the ones, 0 in the tens, 0 in the hundreds, comma, 0 in the thousands, and 2 in the 10,000s. And finally, the number 200,000. Fill in the zeros, and a 2 in the 100,000s. I'm going to write a number below, and you're going to determine where we put each of the digits. If I did the number 3, 2, 4, comma, 6, 8, 9, where does the number 9 go? Right, 9 goes in the 1. So the 9 is simply worth 9 because it's 9 ones. The 8 goes in the tens. How much is the 8 worth in this number? Right, the 8 is worth 80 because it's 8 tens. The 6 goes in the hundreds, so the 6 is worth 600. We put a comma every time we count backwards from the right, 1, 2, 3 places, then add the comma. Where would the 4 go? Right, the 4 would go in the thousands place and is worth 4,000. The 2 goes in the 10,000s place. How much is the 2 worth? Right, the 2 is worth 20,000 then because it's 2 10,000s. And finally, the 3 goes in the 100,000s and is worth 300,000s. When you do this page, you are going to come up with your own numbers that are anywhere between 1 and the 100 millions place. You choose your number to write in the number column, add your column, and then you'll fill it in this place value chart. Let's take a quick break and sing our 7 song. Finally, today we're going to work on expanded notation. We know the place value of a number because we just practiced it, so let's take the number 850. We can write it in expanded notation by writing how much each digit is worth. The 8 is in the hundreds place. 8 is worth 800. 5 is worth 50. 0 is worth 0. When we add these all up, we get 0, 5, 8, or 850. This is how we write 850 in expanded form. Let's have you try one. Let's write the number 7,481 in expanded notation. How much is the 7 worth? Right, the 7 is worth 7,000. How much is the 4 worth? Right, the 4 is worth 400. How much is the 8 worth? Correct, the 8 is worth 80, and the 1 is worth just 1. We add them up by simply reading down the first digit. So 7,481 is the same exact number. You will be working on this expanded notation on the page called Taking Apart and Putting Together. They give you a number, you write down what each of the digits is worth. That's the expanded notation. At the bottom then, they have you adding the different expanded notations of numbers. And then you have a story problem. Let's try one together. Let's take a look at number 6. You may open your book to page 33 and we'll do number 6 together. The 4 in this case is in the hundred thousands place. If we have 4 hundred thousands, how much is the 4 worth? Right, the 4 is worth 400,000. How much is the 3 worth? The 3 is in the millions place. Right, the 3 is worth 3 million. Check your commas closely. How much is the 2 worth? The 2 is in the 10 millions place, so we have 20 million. We're going to pause there so you can make sure you have all the correct zeros and commas in that number, and if there are any questions, now would be the time to ask. Who can read the number that we just found the expanded notation for? Correct, the number is 123,456,789. During today's work time, you'll also be finishing this page called Polygon Checklist. This is a page that you already should have done number 1 and 2 in our previous unit. If you haven't, you'll need to do those. And then you'll go down to number 3 and number 4. Use a reference book as the page is listed up here if you get stuck. Finally, you will be working through your math boxes. Number 1, you're going to add mentally. Number 2 is just like in today's lesson. You're going to say what is the value of the digit 8 in the numbers below. Remember, when looking at the value, you're telling how much is it really worth. So the 8 is in the tens place. When we have an 8 in the tens place, how much is it worth? Right, it's worth 80, and so on. Here it says use your compass to draw a pair of concentric circles inside of each other. Here you have a riddle. Again, it tells you the reference book page if you get stuck. Read closely on the story problem, and then multiply mentally. As you go through, as you work today, remember that we are on activity A to start. The date should be on the top here, so you put 10 dash what the date is. Your learning targets are over here, so this might be one of the goals you've been working towards. As you finish each of these activities, you fill in the bubble. So first you're doing Math Journal, page 32, then Math Masters, page 398. You don't need to do, so you may cross it off. Student Reference Book, page 4 will help you. Math Journal, page 33 was the page I showed with the taking numbers apart, putting them together. Your teacher will be checking numbers 1 through 4 on that page. Then you finish page 34, the Polygon Checklist, and finally Math Boxes 2.3. Activity B and Activity C are on the other side. It's a blend space. On the blend space you go to day 3B, or if you're Activity C you do your Math Masters, that's in Mrs. Paczynski's room, and then you go to blend space day 3C.